riffs are too repetitive, the lyrics make no sense. All the songs are B-sides and the cover art's a mess. There's so much here to tear apart. Listen to it for a week, now that week has passed. It's Why I Hate This Album podcast with Tim and Garrett.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Why I Hate This Album, the show where we pick an album, listen to it for an entire week straight, and then come back here and tell you, the listener, whether or not we hate it and why. I am one of your hosts, Garrett Harvey. With me, as always, co-host extraordinaire, Laurie Strode to my Michael Myers, Timothy Richardson. Tim, welcome back to the show. How are you doing?
Not great, buddy. Not great at all.
I thought we discussed this. You were gonna keep it together.
It's all falling apart.
Ah, Christ. All right. I hate that you saved till we're on air to reveal things like this, but hit me.
You might have noticed that I've been absent for a while. It turns out for the past few weeks, Gino and I have been mired in a series of legal battles. As it happens, a few of our interns won. One of the Lucases, or Luci, I don't know what the plural is, in one that I am not allowed to name at this time. We'll simply call him or her defendant number 3. We're apparently moonlighting as what they call Diddy turns. Jesus Christ,
oh my
Garrett.
God.
Yeah, they are pretty prominent in some of those photos from the freak-off parties at Puff Father, aka Diddy Daddy's house.
Jesus.
Oh, I know, it got dark, right? That's what I thought. And
Are we just testifying? Like, how did you get wrapped up in this?
Oh, well, honestly, we've let these individuals go. I think that Diddy Daddy is trying to blame his whole thing on our interns or possibly us, and I will not have it. We have had a very aggressive, both legal and violent strategy against him for this. I will not tolerate this. Honestly, I don't even know how this came about. We have been making frequent and large investments and campaign contributions to our mayor, Eric Adams, to help shield us from things like this. I don't know where he is. He's not answering Gino's calls.
He is, let's just say we put our eggs in the wrong basket, but certainly the same basket as several other people. And, oh, you know what? We might be getting called in for some different stuff. I think we made the bribes.
I mean, I did write, it came from our Turkey account, if that's what you're asking.
Yeah, that's not the legal one. Okay, anyway, sad Diddy Daddy news aside. God, those Diddy turns. What were they called? Was that it? Diddy turns?
It was, yes.
Okay, Diddy turns.
That's what they called it. That's what, on court documents, it called them Diddy turns.
God, so were they working in a employment capacity or a pleasure capacity?
Diddy Daddy was enjoying himself, I think.
Oh, yeah, that goes without saying.
Right. I mean, they were moonlighting. I don't know. I don't think he was paying them. I mean, again, he's calling them interns, so they're not paid.
I saw that whole Making the Band show. They didn't make any money either. Wasn't that what it was called? Or maybe it was like Diddy's personal assistant. I don't know. It was a terrible show. I think it was Making the Band. Remains unclear.
We are not going down for the crimes of Diddy Daddy.
No, my God. We've been staunch opposers of everything Diddy and Diddy related. And Puff related. And Puffy related. We go back to the Puffy days.
Exactly. We have been opposed since the moment those charges were brought.
Wait, no.
Well, no, we just didn't know about it, you see, but technically, we were not opposed to the Diddy Daddy before the charges were brought. I think we were even before the charges. Let me ask you this. Let's move on. I am admitting to things.
Yeah, you are. Okay. Hopefully I've edited out that part where Tim admitted to a bunch of crimes. If not, earmuffs?
Come at us, fuckers.
Yeah, if not, I guess we're throwing down for the legal fight of our lives. It should be quite the story. Anyway, Tim, when not fighting the state of New York, what album have you been listening to for presumably weeks on end?
I have been listening to Roky Erickson plus or minus the Aliens' 1981 or possibly 1987 album, The Evil One. Presumably a reference to the devil.
Yeah, one would have to imagine, based on the content of this album. If not, I remain baffled. And Tim, after an entire week with Roky Erickson and his hit album, The Evil One.
It was not a hit.
Yeah, it was. I'm very curious. Beyond curious. Do you hate this album?
Ooh, what a good question you asked. Garrett, No, I don't. I really like this album. I think this is a good album. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't see this coming. I expected you to hate this.
Oh, absolutely not, Garrett. This album, and I don't use this term lightly, kind of rocks. I mean, I'm not going to say it shits hot snakes.
Okay,
Certainly
that's
not.
what I thought you were going to say.
Certainly not.
I was like, whoa. This isn't 1998's Godzilla's soundtrack.
No, of course not. This is no Diddy Daddy.
Oh, God, he is on that. God damn it.
Garrett, do you hate this?
No, not at all.
Do you really like it?
It's pretty goddamn good.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, considering my copy and maybe your copy had 15 tracks, I would say I really enjoyed 12 and I can deal with 15.
It does start to get a bit repetitive.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about all of that in a bit. But no, I don't hate it. It was refreshing, and it's going to lead us right into personal history. Tim, prior to this week, what's your experience here? Have you ever listened to any Roky Erickson, let alone this album?
So I am fairly familiar with the 13th Floor Elevators, particularly their first album. I might have heard some of these songs. Some of them seemed vaguely familiar, but I mean, they sound very similar to a lot of psych rock kind of stuff. I might have heard them. I don't know. That's all. What about you? Have you heard this? I know we own a Roky Erickson album. It's not this one.
No, it's not this one. Have I ever listened to that album? Once. So the God's Honest True Story is I was in Waterloo Records in Austin, Texas. It would have been like 2011. And I was listening to whatever they were playing, and I was like, this is really good. What is this? And they were like, oh, it's Roky Erickson. And they explained who Roky Erickson was.
He lives right down the street.
Yeah, and how incredibly interesting he is. And then this is where they got me, Tim. Rather than saying, you should get the evil one. It's really good and right here. They were like, he has a new album out. It's really good and right here.
Oh, did you get the Ockerville River one?
No.
Oh. Well, that would have been right around 2011.
Oh, maybe I did. Is that the orange and green one?
I don't know.
I don't think so.
All right.
Maybe it is that one. I don't think so, though. Anyway, so I bought the album. I brought it home, gave it one listen, and was like, this is not as good as what was playing in the store. I wish I had bought what was in the store. And then I never listened to it again.
So what was playing in the store was the evil one?
Yes.
Oh.
But that's not what he gave me.
Right.
He was like, here you go. Here's the new one. And I was like, okay. Yeah, he fucked me right in the mouth. Well, ears, technically, I guess, in this case. But it wasn't pleasant, regardless of where. Yeah, so I listened to it once, never really listened to it again until this week. And that is to say the last couple of weeks, because Tim has been, as I like to say, quote unquote, at large. And so we didn't do a show. But we have now gotten back together. And that means that I get to ask you, Tim, before we talk about this album, I need to understand every little bit about Roky Erickson. And so take us on a journey. Help me understand. And I suppose the other people listening to this podcast, the thousands of pairs of ears, tell us the tale of Mr. Roky Erickson and how the evil one came to be.
All right. Well, Roger Kynard Erickson was born in Dallas.
You've lost me. Who is that?
We'll get into it. Roger Kynard Erickson was born in Dallas, Texas, USA in 1947 as the eldest son of Roger and Evelyn. Now, Roger Sr. decided that people might get confused between himself, a grown man, and his own infant son, so Roger decided to contract his son's name Roger Kynard into simply Roky. Roky. You see? Rocky. Now, my parents, of course, wanted to do something similar, but that would have resulted in me being named Goop, so that doesn't really work.
I don't think I know your middle name.
Opinder. Gordon Opinder Eversole.
Who'd have thought?
Yeah. Now, of course, my stage name here, Tier or Teepa, those aren't great either. Unclear what my actual full name for the show is at this point, but I will say this, I kind of like Gappa for you.
Gappa. Yeah, it would be Gappa. God, that's a weird name.
Anywho, Roky developed an interest in music early. He started playing piano at 5 and guitar at 10. Now, his mom was an opera singer and she loved his musical interests, so she would go as far as to take guitar lessons herself so she could teach him how to play guitar. Now, I know what you're thinking. Wouldn't it have been easier and also much better to let him take the guitar lessons from somebody that knew how to play guitar that she was taking?
You would think.
No, because she wanted to remain exactly one lesson better than him at the instrument at all times.
I assume it was more of a money-saving tactic, but
Well,
sure.
no, because again, she's still paying for the lessons. Somebody's getting those lessons. Just send him to get the goddamn lessons.
Well, then she doesn't get the lessons.
He could teach her.
Well, that doesn't make any sense. Children can't teach adults anything.
At some point, his family moved from Dallas to Austin, which would later inspire Garrett to do the same thing approximately 50 years later. He attended Travis High School, which is, and this is true, Austin's oldest high school that exists south of the Colorado River. Go Rebels, and in about 5 years, go Wildcats. His dad, on the other hand, was far less understanding of his interests. He was an architect and a civil engineer, a very buttoned-down man, a very uptight early 60s man who would forcibly cut Rocky's hair rather than let him grow a goddamn mop top like one of those British freaks.
Boy, forcible haircut sounds really dangerous.
Yeah, you gotta go with the clippers there. You're stabbing a kid in the head.
Oh, that's a good point. Clippers are going to make that way easier. Because all you got to do is, you just got to get a good piece of it, and then you're like, look, I got to do a buzz cut now.
Yep.
The Tim, if you will.
He wrote You're Gonna Miss Me, which would later be recorded by the 13th Floor Elevators at 15 years old, and started a band with his buddies that turned into the Spades, which recorded a couple songs that made it onto Texas radio, and some other songs that would also go on to become early 13th Floor Elevator songs. Eventually, he won the hair battle with his dad and got to grow it out. Unfortunately, he then had to drop out of high school 1 month before graduation because the hair didn't meet the dress code of the day. Turns out, Dad was right.
So he had to drop out of school?
Well, it was that or cut his hair, you see.
What about a pony?
I'm sorry?
Anybody talk about a pony? Like a tight pony?
Ponytail, you're saying? No, I think that's still
I've
too...
shortened it, you see, to save time.
Listen, it's the early 60s, Garrett.
So no.
He needs to prepare himself to die in Vietnam.
That's true.
Yeah, high and tight.
Oh, the Vietnamese aren't going to know to shoot you, son. You see, you're going to look like a woman. They spare the women.
Interesting.
They look high and tight like a gentleman, so you can be killed like a goddamn warrior.
Absolutely. In 1965, Roky turned 18 and founded the 13th Floor Elevators. They tried to persuade fellow Austinian, whatever, Janice Lorraine Joplin to join the band, but Chet Helms convinced her to go to San Francisco instead and join Big Brother and the Holding Company. That was probably a wise move, at least briefly, although that story has a tragic and quite spooky ending.
Yeah, and vaguely predictable.
Yes. The 13th Floor Elevators released the psychedelic sound of the 13th Floor Elevators in 1966. It is pretty good if you like mid-60s psychedelic rock. It's pretty good if you like things that are going to influence the Black Angels and such. It's really good if you like the Electric Jug. It's one of the only places you'll ever find that.
Huh. What, did they put pickups on it?
I don't know. Never seen it.
Only failing to understand what that would even be.
It's like a jug,
it's like,
but like amplified.
Sure.
You know, like the difference between an acoustic and electric guitar. So basically what I'm saying is this is a solid body jug. No jug whatsoever. It's just basically a solid ceramic thing. And then there's some stuff, some electric stuff. It doesn't matter, Garrett. The album features the band's only real hit, You're Gonna Miss Me, which made it all the way up to number 55 on the Billboard Hot 100. They also kind of pioneered that psychedelic sound, mostly by taking insane amounts of LSD and other psychedelics, really freaking the squares out. In 1967, they released Easter Everywhere. In 1968, a fake live album was released without the band's permission. Basically, it was studio outtakes and then they just overdubbed audience noises, said it was live.
That's weird.
Yeah. In 1968, the 13th Floor Elevators performed at Hemisphere, a World's Fair held in San Antonio, Texas, because apparently they were still doing that. Actually, we are still doing it. Dubai recently hosted one in October 2021 to March 2022, in which the U.S. Showcased space stuff and also Thomas Jefferson's Quran.
I mean, what reaction could that possibly elicit aside from, well, there's that?
Yep, I guess that's what they were going for. At that 1968 Hemisphere, Roky began speaking in gibberish on stage. He was diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia, committed to a Houston psych hospital at the age of 21, and forced to undergo electroconvulsive therapy, slightly more graphically known as electroshock therapy. Really spooky stuff here.
Yeah, it is.
Now, I don't know if you know this, but that's still used to this day and actually is fairly efficacious for for medication-resistant depression and bipolar disorder. The difference is, I think now...
May I?
Oh, sure, please.
Equating the two would be analogous to saying, you know, we performed surgery in the Civil War and we're still doing it today.
Right. Now they
That's how similar it
anesthetize you, and it's not all One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest and such.
I think it's also considerably less voltage.
Probably.
And for way shorter periods.
Yeah, probably more focused. Anyway, the point is, in 1969, the 13th floor elevators released Bull of the Woods with minimal contributions from Roky and then kind of broke up. Also in 1969, after getting out of that insane asylum, Roky was arrested for the possession of a single marijuana cigarette in Austin, Texas. He was threatened by the judge with 10 years in prison, so he pleaded guilty by reason of insanity. Now, this is a plea that never works out the way you want it to. They're not just going to let a legally insane man just leave and walk about the streets. So the judge called his bluff and sent him to Austin State Hospital. After escaping repeatedly from Austin State Hospital, he was sent to maximum security mental institution in Rusk, Texas, where he was electroshocked repeatedly, forced to take Thorazine, and like hours away from being lobotomized like a goddamn mouthy female Kennedy. Narrowly avoided an extra bit of spook right there.
Jesus Christ, that did happen.
Yeah.
We used to live down the street. The official Austin World Headquarters used to be down the street from the Austin State Mental Hospital.
Yeah,
I
easy
definitely
to
could
escape
see
from. Not
see
so
how
with
he
Rusk.
escaped.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a low chain link fence with multiple gaps.
Yeah.
Walk
He wrote
out.
poetry while in custody, presumably on toilet paper, and some of his family smuggled them out and published them as a book called Openers, which his family sold to try and get him a lawyer that could, fix the horrific nonsense that had befallen him. I guess this was a trend at the time. The incredibly spooky Charles Manson's buddies did a similar thing with that Lie, the Love and Terror Cult album where he's singing about Garbage Man.
More on that in a bit.
Yeah. He apparently wrote 100+ songs in prison and apparently recorded a few of them with fellow inmates, according to inherentbummer.com, but unclear exactly how he pulled that off. He would have to stay in Rusk State Hospital for 3 goddamn years, presumably being shocked on the daily, until 1972 when he came out, crazier than ever, probably again due to all that electrocution and other abuse that constituted psychiatric treatment at the time.
Chemical and otherwise.
Absolutely. The 13th floor elevators had broken up by this point. The guitarist Stacy Sutherland was imprisoned on drug charges for heroin use, after which he was released, and his wife shot and killed him. Pretty spooky stuff. Electric jug player Tommy Hall moved to San Francisco and became a devout Scientologist and quit the music business. Also kind of spooky. Danny Galindo played bass with Jimmy Vaughn, and then died of hepatitis C, after which Gino has simply written, ha ha.
Oh, I took a sip. Didn't see that coming. Should have seen it coming.
There were some other guys that had less interesting post-elevator lives. I didn't really read up on them. Rory formed a new band in 1974 called Belieb Alien, or possibly Bleib Allein, which was maybe a German pun meaning remain alone. Then renamed it to Roky Erickson and the Aliens, and recorded the album of the week with a guy from CCR. Released it in 1981. Actually released several different versions of it, and eventually released sort of a combined version in 87, which I believe is the 15-track one that we both did.
I am very curious if our tracks are in the same order.
I was going to say that. Yeah, they probably won't be.
That'll be fun.
Yeah, he also played with the Nerve Breakers and the Explosives as his backing band, and played mostly around Austin. In 1984, the documentary Demon Angel, A Day and Night with Roky Erickson was produced for Swedish television, featuring him performing under the Congress Street Bridge on Halloween. That was also recorded for a live album. That full documentary is available on YouTube. It is pretty good. Check it out now.
I once saw a woman get bit by a bat under that bridge. It was very funny because there was a bat on the ground, and she was like, oh, look, there's a bat on the ground. And several people, including this guy, was like, hey, don't touch that bat. And she was like, I'm just gonna help it. And she got bit and got to get rabies shots.
Yeah, she deserves the rabies she got. We would get in college, once a week, at least over the summer, we would get an email. It's like, hey, if you find a bat, don't touch that. You'll fucking die.
Yeah. Who needed to be told that besides this lady?
I don't know. It's the one vice I don't have. Handling bats.
Dude, I had a friend who got bitten by a bat. He wasn't fucking with it. It just landed on him and bit him. And he went to the hospital like a day and a half later to get rabies baby shots and whatever. And he was like, I also got this like real throbby pain in my leg. And I mean, I don't think it's bat related, but maybe. And they're like, cool. You have blood clots. You would have died if you didn't come here. Oh my God. You have so many blood clots. How are you walking? Yeah. He was like 21.
Yeah, it happens. Roky mostly dropped out of the public eye in 1982 after signing an affidavit confirming that aliens had in fact taken up residence in his body. Some music was still released. Right. Don't Slander Me and Gremlins Have Pictures, both in 1986. There were some others. A shit ton of non-authorized releases came out during this period. Due to shitty deals he signed with people that were clearly taking advantage of him and paying him little to no royalties. By the 90s, Roky was struggling to survive on a $200 per month Social Security stipend. He was briefly reinstitutionalized after an arrest on mail theft charges, which was later dropped. He returned to the music scene, releasing All That May Do My Rhyme in 1995. That's difficult to say. And a complete collection of his lyrics were published by Henry Rollins as Openers 2. In 1996, the excellent television program The X-Files released the excellent episode Jose Chung's From Outer Space, featuring a character based on Roky. 16.1 million people watched that episode.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. His younger brother, Sumner Erickson, was granted legal custody in 2001, Britney Spears style. And just like Britney Spears, it was definitely to his benefit. It helped him tremendously. He got his mental health and legal issues under control. He negotiated much better royalties for his past music and albums. And a documentary called You're Gonna Miss Me was released at South by Southwest in 2005. He played his first full-length concert in 20 years. He, maybe not the best idea, but weaned himself off his psych meds. He got a driver's license. He owned a car. He voted. All of this is according to the Austin Chronicle, who was very proud of him. By 2007, he played Coachella. He played the Big Apple at Royal Festival Hall in London, at some Finnish festivals, so he's doing much better at this point. He played in 2008 with the Black Angels as his backing band. In 2010, he released True Love Cast Out All Evil with Ockerville River as his backing band. Definitely check out the Black Angels if you like psych rock and don't know them, particularly their first album, Passover, and maybe check out Ockerville River. Maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
In 2012, Roky toured Australia and also New Zealand, and in 2015 did a reunion show with some members of the 13th Floor Elevators at Levitation, aka Psychfest, and then in 2019 he died. LaFace.
I know how the story ends and you caught me off guard. I just didn't expect the time jump. And then he died. Also, you said it way too excitedly.
Oh, sorry. And then in 2019, Garrett, he died.
We got to work on your solocast delivery. And then in the year of 2019, he passed away. All right. Good history, Tim.
Of hepatitis C, you old fuck.
Yeah. It's not even a good running gag, you fucking
It's not.
Grim weirdo. I honestly, if I knew how to make him stop coming here, I would.
Yeah. Every time we change the locks, he just gets new keys.
Yeah, I don't know what he's doing, but I think the cleaning staff, there might be threats there or payoffs. I literally don't know. He's worked here for 4.5 years. The very idea that he still doesn't speak English is obnoxious.
I think he doesn't speak English to us.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
No.
Because I'm pretty sure his wife only speaks English.
Oh, yeah.
God damn him. Fuck you, man. You're a terrible producer, lawyer, and friend.
I think she's from Houston.
Yeah.
Born and raised.
Considerably younger, too. We've never really talked about it, but it's... to what end, man? He's not wealthy.
No, I think she just loves him.
Fascist.
Well...
Spent a considerable amount of time in Argentina.
Yeah, but I mean, that makes sense.
In the 50s and 60s. Anyway, Tim, great history. Sandwich wiki to you, to your LaFace. I'm late on it. Did you know he worked
at the School of the Americas?
What's up now?
Gino.
No, what?
Yeah.
When?
I don't know. It was in the 80s, I think.
It was a different time.
Yeah, a time when you could really just do stuff in El Salvador.
Till you couldn't. That brings us to general thoughts, Tim. And I mean, where to begin, right?
Well, the obvious place for me, did Rob Zombie steal his entire act from this album?
Oh, I see what you mean there. Yeah. Interesting.
Because, I mean, he's doing sort of the same thing. Now, the difference between him and Mr. Zombie is that all of Rocky's songs the demons and the ghouls seem to be metaphors for his own psychosis. He's not just singing about Dragulas because he thinks it's fun. But, like, to me, it's like...
Damn you.
It's
that
like
song is in there now.
being very familiar with, like, Greta Van Fleet and then stumbling across Led Zeppelin, or being a fan of, like, the Eagles, or doing a Halloween episode on the Eagles and then, like, several years later just being like, oh yeah, Graham Parsons.
Yeah, it's
But I mean, because you can hear like thematically, but also musically, like people just stole from this man. I guess he was obscure enough that people just kind of Daniel Johnstoned him. Because you can hear like 80s hair metal precursors, obviously the psych rock thing. His vocals you can hear in all of 80s rock. It's very strange.
It's wild. The number of sounds likes that came to mind with this stretch from the 70s. Honestly, he stretches from the 70s through the late 80s and early 90s in my mind in his musical style and influence. It's wild.
Yeah. And I mean, he's definitely not as much of like outsider art as Daniel Johnston. I mean, he's like, you know, a musician and such, or Daniel Johnston and sometimes was not. But I mean,
it's just a man in a basement with a keyboard.
Right. But like, it is amazing because I feel like what he's doing, love it or hate it, or just kind of like it, or tolerate it, it's unique to him in a way. Now you can hear the influences, and certainly you can hear it, you know, like it's like watching The Honeymooners and being like, oh hey, this is kind of tropey. Well, no, it's not,
because they did it first.
Right, it became tropey, but like you can hear so many things that he does in this album that will later be in a Guns N' Roses song or in a Poison song, for God's sakes,
and later grunge. Like the guitar sounds and effects on here. Like I heard not always vocally, but even sometimes vocally, but I heard like REM, I heard Nirvana. Like you're just like, holy fucking shit, man. There's no way those bands didn't hear this guy.
Yeah, absolutely.
And all for the better. Like I'm all about it. Like take and do your own thing, because they all did good shit with it. But it's wild how much on this one record I hear songs from Styx to Nirvana. That's a wild range.
Yeah.
It's fun.
I mean, again, musically, I'm pretty into this whole thing. Like, I like his vocals. I like the energy, the guitar solos, the bass and drum combo is solid. Lyrics are a bit weird, and they do get a bit repetitive, at least thematically, but that's kind of the worst thing I can say about this, right? Like, for the most part, these things are like about 50s to 60s era horror movies. You know, there's the zombies
and psychosis.
Well, right. There's the zombies, atomic mutants, demons, mad scientists, werewolf women of the SS. It's
spoiler alert.
But yeah, no, I mean, like each one of these songs is basically, again, I think Rob Zombie just stole his entire solo career from this.
Yeah, but he had the face makeup, you know.
We don't know that he doesn't look exactly like Rob Zombie when he's performing this.
He looks more like a bearded Brian Wilson.
Yes, he looks a lot like a bearded Brian Wilson.
Or maybe like a more southern hillbilly Zach Galifianakis.
Yeah.
Or honestly, the lead singer of Led Zeppelin. Not Led Zeppelin, Lynyrd Skynyrd, who he at times sounds like, which is weird. Anyway, not the point. That's the end of the Who Does He Look Like segment. Now, for now, let's break it down musically first, and then we can talk about the lyrics broadly before we talk about them specifically, which is to say how insane they are. Musically, what are we doing? We're doing some psychedelic. We're doing some garage rock. It's noisy. It's got some awesome solos. Musical stylings for me, just a quick range, broad range of sounds likes to me. I hear MC5. I said I heard Styx. I heard Led Zeppelin. I heard 80s Neil Young. We'll get to specifics later, but rocking in the Free World era.
The MC5 is a really good, because it has that energy.
Yeah, that kick out the jams, gonna punch you in the face. Yeah. I'm not entirely sure what I'm singing about, but neither are you. Let's just get crazy.
Yeah.
I'm into it. Let's see. Oh, well, I am gonna say this, though. He is like 6 degrees of Charles Manson. Like, I've heard Manson's album, or at least one of them, and some of these songs are way closer to, what was it, Garbage Garbage dump?
Yeah.
Garbage dump, oh, garbage dump. I like my version better.
Mustard boy, oh, mustard boy.
Why won't you live in my hot dog house?
Yeah, there it is.
I don't recall why I sang that.
You sang it, dare I say, lovingly to me.
Well, sure. No, I understand the context. I just don't remember the purpose. I think I wanted a hot dog.
Oh, well, if that was your purpose, I would hear it much more often.
Yeah, but I think there were like available ones, and we may have had previous hot dogs. And I was like, it's time for more hot dogs. And you were like, hey, that's an absurd number of hot dogs. And I was like, well, I'm not going to sit here and argue. I'll just sing a Charles Manson song about hot dogs. And then we got hot dogs.
Could be.
Anyway, now let's talk about the lyrics broadly. You've said it. Ghouls, goblins, ghosts, and Satan. Don't leave out Satan. He's a big part of this album. But could be metaphors.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times the demons that are in his head are really just his crazy head.
Sure. Yeah. Well, yeah, I don't think they're head demons.
They could be, though. They could be. The problem, the reason they couldn't get those demons out with all that electroconvulsive therapy is they're demons. They're actual demons. What they needed to do was invoke the goddamn name of Jesus Christ.
Yeah, they should have called a priest, an old priest and a young priest. I don't know why you need both, but you do.
Well, you need, it's to pass on the skills. The priesthood, you see, it cannot be learned in a classroom. It is an apprenticeship. If you really want to
it's like woodworking, goddammit.
Yeah, except on the soul.
It's the craft of religion. You have to learn how to mold and shape a soul.
Yeah. I do not want to rule out the fact that, like, maybe he is being haunted by, like, a Slender Man.
Or Slender Men.
Yes. Slender's man. Slender Man.
Yeah, I think that's it. That's correct. That's, what else would a group of Slendermen be called? A thicket? What do you call I was going to say, what do you call a bundle of sticks, but we're not going to call them that.
Google it, listener.
Oh, that's the sort of educated New Yorker style humor everyone's here for. All right, let's continue. That's the music. That's the lyrics. It's too many songs. 15's too many. Could have trimmed it down. 11 or 12, much better album for me.
Yeah, so the original, the 1981 version is what we should have done.
Yes, but that can't be had.
No.
And in fact, Tim and I may have listened to different versions of this album.
Well, you see, Garrett, I looked up the track listing on Wikipedia, and then I YouTubed each one of those songs individually because this album, as far as I can tell, does not exist on Amazon Music. It does exist. I actually almost switched to iTunes or Apple or whatever the fuck it's called now, specifically so that I could have this album easily. But instead, I made a YouTube playlist.
I mean, that's a thing. I just have Apple Music, so I just went in that order. So ours are definitely not in the same order. And you might have done 20 songs.
I'm
just going to say that. Interesting.
Because I had the list, you see.
Sure. I'm just saying, sometimes you're counting. A lot of times my counting, not so good. Okay. What else need to be said about this album before we get into specifics?
Oh, I think we should just get into it.
Great. Let's dive on in. Track number 1, Two-Headed Dog.
Immediately, I like this. It's a real song. It sounds like 70s rock. It's energetic. There's these psychedelic elements. I am in. I like his howl. I like how he sings nonsense with conviction. I like the guitar solo, the background vocals. This is what we should listen to. How about this, Garrett? An podcast about music we like.
Nobody wants to hear that.
Okay.
So many people want to hear that, but they also want to hear this.
Yeah.
Most people do not come here to hear about our musical opinions.
Right. Well, we don't really know anything about music. Garrett, did you look up what this song was about?
You bet I did.
Yes. The chorus, it opens, two-headed dog, I've been working in the Kremlin. Two-headed dog, I've been working in the Kremlin with a two-headed dog. So this bit, I guess, is based on lunatic Vladimir Demikov, a Russian scientist, medical hero, and fucking monster. Two things.
He is both of those.
Right. It often went together in the mid-20th century. He worked on animals. He did the first heart transplant, the first lung transplant, the first heart-lung transplant, the first liver transplant, and the first coronary artery bypass operation. Christian Barnard visited his lab and was inspired by him to do the first human heart transplant in South Africa in 1967. So far, medical hero.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, he got obsessed with head transplants in dogs, according to an article I read in Time magazine from the 50s, or possibly early 60s. He kind of pulled this off. He grafted the head and shoulders.
He did
members of a smaller dog onto a much larger dog. He kept it alive for 6 days, although the larger host dog tried to... Okay, the way the article phrased this, he tried to shake the new audition off.
Yeah, he did.
Which is horrifying. Now, this, of course, later inspired American surgeon Robert J. White to do the same in monkeys in the 1970s. He kept one alive for 9 days and was practicing on human corpses with the ultimate goal of sewing Stephen Hawking and Christopher Reeve's heads onto a donor. Now, presumably not the same donor at the same time, but that would be hilarious if he just forgot to mention that.
Oh my God.
And according to my knowledge, that did not happen in the current shitty timeline. Fast forward to the 2010s. Xiaoping Ren and Sergio Canavero, a Chinese dude and a Russian dude, are apparently collaborating to further this work. They were gonna do it on a Russian software engineer with spinal muscle atrophy who agreed and signed the papers. Well, I guess didn't sign them, you know what I mean.
And then everyone said, wait, there's no papers for this madness.
No, Garrett. Not at all. It was canceled after the patient they were gonna do it on fell in love with a woman that accepted him as he was.
Well, listen, I thought you were going to say died or suddenly regained the ability to walk or move his limbs.
That does not happen with SMA, Garrett.
Oh, listen, I'm just listing the things I thought you might say before what you really said.
They are currently working on mice and have gotten apparently pretty good at it. Don't Google it. It's upsetting.
Well, that's why I wanted to hit the pause button real quick. So backing up ever so slightly to the dog head transplant situation, do not Google this.
No.
Don't Google shaved bears. Don't Google Mr. Hands. Do not Google Vladimir Petrovich Demikov.
Yes. And this is
monster.
a legitimate addition to the shaved bears and Mr. Hands. It might be the worst of the three.
It really might be. And Mr. Hands is somebody being horsed to death.
Yeah.
That's the death rattle.
Also, arguably, right, it's a body transplant, right? As much as it is a head transplant.
Well, that's the thing, because the donor body maintains the original head. I'm not sure you can say that.
Well, right.
Well, it is a body transplant to the person who gets the body.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing.
I guess it's both depending on which head you're consulting.
Well, you're not going to get any control over that body.
No.
So you're really just kind of like
it's blood
rose
supply
in the ground. Yeah. Why can't they just hook you up at that point to a robot with a dialysis machine and a few quarts?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, but the real
Dick Cheney didn't need a heart.
Oh man, I would love to sew Dick Cheney's lifeless head to your back.
Oh God,
I'm not a talented surgeon. You know this about me.
Why did you put him exactly where I can't slap him?
You know, the real tragedy though would be that, again, like you're saying, they're just hooking it up essentially to a blood supply to keep that brain oxygenated. You don't hook them up to the lungs, so that head can't scream, but God, it wants to scream.
Oh yeah, you're goddamn right it does. Ugh. Yeah, again, don't Google this, folks. Because, okay, truth time. I always thought that was a rumor. I thought that was a Soviet like propaganda thing on like their medical advances and that nobody had actually done it. And
I think it was kind of a propaganda piece because I don't think they mentioned that it only lived for 6 days at first.
Yeah, I think they also didn't like fully articulate like there's no esophagus there. So like to your point, like he's not connected to lungs. He's just there.
And the bigger dog is desperately trying to displace him.
Shaking him off like a stupid hat or Halloween costume you might put on your dog. Like a pair of stupid antlers at Christmas.
Yeah.
It's adorable though.
Yeah. Now, the rest of the song, I assume, I don't necessarily fully understand what he's talking about. My best guess is that he's expressing disgust at these experiments.
Yeah, I think it's a commentary on the Cold War.
Okay.
He says, peace brought back, bought back, relaxed, vignette brought back. Did you dry her out, wind her out like jerky? To me, she's healed. Don't attack.
Yeah, it's like weird poetry that's sort of Soviet Union related and also maybe kind of references this dog.
Yeah, I think he's kind of saying like, this is peace. Like, this is what what we fought for? Like, this is what you guys are doing? Like, this is what the Cold War is now?
Wind's quiet in the night, her body just blows Messiah. Sickening sweet sight left and right, it all is all right, does not please my appetite.
Look, I know that lady's smoking hot, but don't worry, I'm not going to attack her. I'm super into sewing dogs together. That's what I'm into.
Well, that's way worse.
He's going to sew our dogs together. And then the chorus 39 times in a row, and that's going to bring us to track number 2, my favorite song on the album. Not kidding. I Walked with a Zombie.
So the interesting thing is, because you and I listen to these in a much different order this week, I got tired of these in a different order. So like the last 3 songs that I'm just like, well, I don't have any notes for this, are presumably not the same songs that you are just like, meh, fuck this.
That's fucking interesting, because yeah, my last 3 songs, I'm mostly just like, I don't care. Yeah. Actually, the last one I love, but we'll see what it is. So this was towards your back half.
Yeah, this is track number 10 for me. The title from this was taken from a 1943 horror film made by cowards hiding from the Nazis. Join the war effort, fuckers.
Don't.
In 1943, do.
Oh, yeah.
It is not much of a song. It's just I walked with a zombie plus or minus last night, or he walked with a zombie for 3 minutes. But
it feels like a 90s grunge cover of a Cricket song.
Yes. That's a weird thing to say, but yes. I like it. I mean, musically, I really enjoyed it. I did not watch the movie. Did you watch the movie?
No. Ain't nobody got time for that.
It's about a Haitian voodoo somebody turning people into zombies. I learned a lot about zombies.
Wait, hold on. That's a different song we did on this show.
Well, there's several.
Remember, I literally gave people the ingredients to turn people into zombies?
Oh, yeah, I do remember this. Yeah.
I couldn't tell you what song it was.
No, probably Zombie by the Cranberries.
No, it wasn't. 1, didn't do that song, and 2, that's not what that's about.
That's fair. Yeah, apparently I learned a lot about pre-George Romero zombies this week. Not the undead, just voodoo.
Not the undead.
Yeah, which again, I guess plays more into his just being crazy, right? Or possibly the voodoo-esque psychiatric attempts to stop the voices. I don't really know.
Oh, maybe. I don't know. This one, it's just fun, and it literally is just, I walked with a zombie, over and over again. It's great.
It's fun.
And that's going to bring us to track number 3, Night of the Vampire.
This one's a reference to a 1964 German horror film.
And they get the atmosphere really right on this song. It's got a bigger guitars, a nice match with the synth. There's a nice build, very dramatic, even a bit spooky.
Oh, sure, yeah. Tonight is the night of the vampire. Tonight is the night of the vampire. If it's raining and you're running, don't slip in mud, cause if you do, you'll slip in blood. Tonight is the night of the vampire. Yeah, vampires are chasing people.
Sure, and that brings up 3 questions. Well, 3 scenarios in my mind. Scenario 1, vampire purge. You're living with vampires, and you've made a deal with them. They're not going to eat people except for 1 night a year. So if people are out, they're fair game. Vampires can come suck your blood.
That's a fun movie,
right?
Yeah. Now, 2. How do they? Well, hold on. How do they survive the rest of the year?
Donations and animal blood. That's the thing. Can a vampire live on pig's blood?
I mean, definitely pig's blood. It's the closest animal to a human, cardiovascularly speaking, of course. Mm-hmm. And I say that because I looked up a lot of horrific animal experiments this week. Figure out that first song.
Don't Google that. Yeah, don't do it.
Scenario 2.
Hey, hold on. Somebody just opened a tab. Don't do it. All right, I apologize. Scenario 2. Living in a world with vampires, and the deal is there's a curfew. Everybody get your shit done by 9:30. If you're not in your house by 9:30, you're fair game to be the dinner of the damned.
I think that's fair.
I think so too. Maybe you make it a little later on the weekends. It's, midnight. I don't know. That's the thing though. Vampires, they can't go out during the day. There's a very limited amount of time they have to get their shit done. That's the thing I've always wondered. If we knew there were vampires, the fun thing is you'd have a bunch of humans that would set up vampire businesses. So you'd have to cater to like nighttime cleaners, nighttime diners. Well, I guess not diners, because what would you serve there? Oh, I guess you're back to the pig's blood again.
Yeah. And I mean, again, some of these would have to be staffed by humans. How many vampires could they be? I would just wear a full suit of armor.
Like chainmail?
No, like the rigid one.
Oh, I see.
I want to be very sure I'm not getting bit. Yeah.
I see. I think I would would wear a chainmail turtleneck.
Well, right, but I assume that vampires can bite you elsewhere.
Yeah,
that's why I would
true.
go full set of armor.
Okay, what's something less stupid? I think they make like literally real thin mesh now. Like it's chainmail, but for sharks.
Well, listen. I don't think we should trust our clothing, our protective clothing, to something that was optimized for a fake animal.
Moment it came out of my mouth, I regretted it. God damn it. Yeah, I guess we're going with your medieval suit of armor then.
All right.
Well, listen, if I'm hosting a business for these blood-sucking monsters, and I mean no disrespect, they got to agree not to bite me.
Yeah, well, sure. But I mean, at some point, they can't resist.
Well, that's if you have like a high-risk business. Like, what if you run a bar? You've got vampires getting drunk, getting rowdy.
Yeah.
One of them's going to bite your neck.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you can't have that. That guy's in a suit of armor.
Yeah.
Or maybe,
listen, it's the
maybe
same
he's
reason.
got big headlights on his shoulders, right? And the moment somebody gets cheeky, he just fires him up. Blast.
Yeah, but I mean, like, if you think about it, like, you know when you in Austin, you could not have glassware on a balcony because like you would just immediately begin hurling it to the ground and smashing people with it. Yeah, same thing. I feel like you just have to assume that a vampire, if it gets drunk or even, just rowdy with its buddies, his buddies, her buddies, their buddies, it's going to start biting people.
They buddies. Yeah, I mean, and that could happen in something as benign as a Denny's. I've gotten rowdy in a Denny's before.
I've been bitten in a Denny's before.
Yeah,
not by a
I
vampire.
bit you in a Denny's once.
Oh, yeah, but that's not the only time.
No, you're telling about a different story.
Don't get me started with a goddamn Shoney's. That's the classless vampires are going to Shoney's.
Listen, you'll meet a lot of psychologists that'll tell you can't get PTSD from a Shoney's.
I don't think that's true.
Yeah, I've lived with the curse of multiple trips to Shoney's over my life, every time bringing unique and strange, awful memories. Most of them involving you.
Yes.
Well, you were just there. You didn't make them.
One of those times I did bite a Shoney's patron, though.
Song continues confusingly with an accent. Mi Castlebrand, Transylvania. On St. Swithin's Day he was born. I stare through the darkness with no form. Maidens his bite arms.
Now, this made me laugh every time.
Of course.
Every time I heard St. Swithin's Day, I pictured Bart Simpson in a cast with his terrible play, just, "Give us for breakfast, Aunt Helga. Is it St. Swithin's Day already?" "'Tis," replied Aunt Helga. Just, all right,
okay.
I'll break into Splanders' house. Jesus Christ.
God damn. Great. You can listen to my one-man show or my play. Aunt Helga. Yeah, same thing. Exact same thing. Was laughing my ass off to the point where I finally, after an entire adult life, looked up St. Swithin's Day.
Yeah, I'd never done it either.
Apparently, it's basically the UK's version of Groundhog Day, but in July.
Yeah, which is strange. That's not the time to have a Groundhog Day.
No, but, well, their weather is dismal, much like their food. And it's based on some bishop in the 850s that demanded to be buried outside. And then they were like, cool, we're going to put you in the cathedral in 971. And it rained the next 30 days after they did that. So now that's their Groundhog Day.
Wow.
Anyway, back to this weird song. He makes a reference to Dracula's castle in Romagna. Then he talks about St. Swithin's Day, which is the day he was born. Ironically, I guess.
Rocky or Dracula?
Rocky.
Okay.
Rocky. And then it's unclear to me, is he Dracula in the song?
I don't know, because he seems to be giving advice to people on how to avoid being bitten, and that does not seem like a Dracula-esque thing to do.
Well, maybe it's not necessarily like a cautionary warning, but just more like a, bitch, you know what's going to happen. Because it seems like whatever the situation is, there's an agreed upon set of rules.
Well, and there should be.
Right. Yeah, if you know you're living among a vampire population, that's the thing. They know the moment you admit it, they're going to get regulated and taxed.
Yeah, that's true. So you're thinking that they're a bunch of Ron Paul vampires?
I don't know that they all align with the values of Ron Paul, but the general sentiment of my body, my choice, you betcha.
I don't think Ron Paul is...
No, he was staunchly not pro-choice. He was OBGYN, wasn't he?
He was, yes. Or
yeah.
no, ophthalmologist? No, no, that's his stupid son. Yes, he was an OB-GYN.
Stupid son. Anybody can be an ophthalmologist. You got a whole body. Eyes.
Yeah, ophthalmology, and this is true. Dumbest doctor.
Ooh. I've heard Dermpath ain't so smart. Shots fired.
Listener, write in. Who is the dumbest of the doctors?
That's a fun one. Doctors, write in. hatePodMail@gmail.com. Which one of you is stupid?
Yeah.
Oh, I know who it is. Pediatric GP. I'm sorry. Adult GP.
No.
No,
because
what
they
do you
have
do? You
triage.
Oh, let me tell you who to go talk to.
Yeah, right. They have to know that. Ophthalmology, it's just like, I don't know.
Contacts. Here's some drops.
Maybe. Sometimes they remove cataracts and stitch that retina back on the back of your eye. But yeah, that's not that hard. I could do that.
Did you have to get eye stitches?
No. I just got my eye peeled.
Yeah, you did. God, I know you were in a lot of pain, but I laughed for hours.
Oh, I was weeping and shaking and sweating. And the worst part about that was it was like, I don't know, 12 feet from where I worked every day. So I had to see those people that saw me like weeping and shaking like it doesn't matter. Track number 4, whatever your track number 4 is.
It's a cold night for alligators.
Okay, we say a lot of times don't Google something. So this is a reference to the 1959 movie The Alligator People. DuckDuckGo yourself some stills from that movie at the bare minimum. It is fantastic.
Yeah, it's awesome. 1959 horror was hilarious.
Yeah, the movie is apparently in part about amnesia and psychiatrists and such, in addition to the aforementioned alligator people and mad scientists experimenting on people. Yeah.
Musically, got a bit of a Blue Oyster Cult feel, maybe even Kansas musically. Definitely not the same sort of content. Let's get into it. It's a cold night for alligators. It's a cold night for dogs. The dogs choke on their barking when they see alligator persons in the bog and fog. I mean, it's everything you hoped for based on the fact that it's a song about alligator people.
Yeah.
They seem to be emerging out onto the streets, hunting man and dog alike.
Alligator persons.
What did I say?
Alligator people.
What's the difference?
I don't know.
Fantastic. It's a cold night for alligators when men turn into them in the night. That's an interesting thing to learn, that they were men that turned into alligator people and women.
Well, okay, so I'm assuming there are were-gators out there. If there are werewolves, I assume there's a whole bunch of different animals, right? Like there's presumably a were-giraffe. You know, your neck just horrifically elongates.
You know what? I'll say this. If there are werewolves, there are other weird animals.
Ah, absolutely.
But, you know.
So anyway, the problem, though, is because like a werewolf, right, you're good to go no matter what. If you're an alligator or anything cold-blooded, depending on where you live, there's up to like 6 months of the year where that full moon comes around and you're fucked.
This is why our show works. My first question. Would an alligator person be warm or cold-blooded?
Definitely cold-blooded. I mean...
Interesting. Why, though?
Because you're absorbing all of the...
Not true.
What do you mean not true?
In a werewolf scenario, you are still bipedal in most instances.
I don't think you are.
You are not a wolf. Okay, let me put it a different way that's indisputable. A werewolf is not a wolf.
Sure, absolutely.
There you go.
But,
so an alligator man is neither man nor gator. Okay. He's more gator than man.
He is, and I think that's why... Because, listen, there's key features, there's key things about alligators, right? You'd assume that you would have to have enough of their biology to become alligator, right? Like you would never expect, that person's a werewolf and they turn into a werewolf, but they just don't get furry. So they're wolf-like, but they're horrific ridiculous. And nude.
It'd be a were-rat at that point.
Well, no, because they still have fur. I'm talking like a full
no, I know.
werewolf.
It would just look like a giant shaved. It'd look like a shaved bear. Don't Google it. I agree. So let's touch tips here. What are the key traits of an alligator man that makes him alligator enough to be dubbed alligator man, but he still has to have some man to it, or woman.
Right.
Scales.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
For me, it's all about the head and the tail.
Head and the tail is important, but I think that also, I mean, you've got to have the full body. Like you could still walk around. I like to think that their legs are as short as an alligator's, but they still could potentially be bipedal. So they're just kind of wobbling around a little bit.
Interesting. So here's what I'm doing. I'm basically take a gator, right? Rip its arms and legs off.
Okay.
Put human arm and legs on that thing.
Oh, I like that.
That's what I'm looking
so that
at.
would definitely be a cold-blooded animal.
Well, here's the catch. They have human eyes.
Still, it's the core. Yeah.
But it doesn't have to be. What about it makes it cold-blooded? I mean, I know what makes it cold-blooded, but like...
Yeah, you are a metabolic expert.
Sure, but I don't want to drop a bunch of science jargon down on the podcast, really slow things down.
Good evasion, go on.
How dare you? How dare you? I have multiple degrees I printed out on that printer over there that say otherwise.
Well, but if it's not, who gives a shit if it's a cold night? I guess he says it's also a cold night for dogs.
No, you're right. You're right. It's a cold night for alligators. Okay, maybe we're thinking about this wrong. Maybe it's a cool-blooded animal. So it's got more tolerance.
Yeah. So it's as long as it's not real cold, right? Like it could handle winter in Texas, but not winter in the Big Apple, I think is what we're saying.
Sure. But also, Tim, here's the part that we haven't addressed at all. What's this gator wearing?
Well, I think
they're not nude.
Well, sure. I think that, because it's a man transforming into gator. So I assume, like the Hulk, they would have torn up jean shorts, and maybe,
I mean, depending on the clothing and biology.
A trucker hat.
Yeah, every time. But that sort of grows out of the top of their head.
Right. That's part of the man conversion.
Yeah, in case you're a woman, you transform into a gator man. It's horrible for multiple reasons. And
a gator woman wouldn't have breasts, right?
God, I hope not. Anyway, God damn it, what was I going to say? Gator woman breasts just really threw me off my game. I'm not going to lie.
What were they wearing?
Yeah, what are they wearing? So there's a time there, especially 2 to 5 years ago, I'm a little sketchy on time, those jogger pants were real popular with the genie ankles. There's a chance you transform fully and don't really shred the clothing. And then you just got an alligator walking around in a comfortable hooded sweatshirt and jogger pants. He's going to be fine.
Right, but would it be comfortable? Because, I'm assuming, given some alligator proportions, specifically around that tail, but also the, legs and stuff, I assume it would bunch up awkwardly at the very least.
Oh, sure. There's going to be bunching, and that tail rips straight through the back. Don't get me wrong. But I'm just saying, let's not rule out the possibility that some of these gators are fully dressed or possibly had the, dare I say, agency to put on a different outfit when they got chilly.
That's smart.
Yeah. I don't want to ascribe the stupidity of a wolf to an alligator. Wildly different animals.
Right. Maybe still do that
might know to put on a sweater.
I'd like to think so. It's a cold night for alligators in the blend. It's a cold night for alligators. A perfect monster has no end. Now, Garrett, perfect? A gator man, of course. A gator?
All day.
Yeah, right. I want to say I love this line. A perfect monster has no end, and I want to make you this promise right here, right now. I will make sure that some version of that phrase ends up on your tombstone, right?
Okay, I'm okay with this. I was scared you were going to make me a gator monster. This is better.
Here lies Garrett P. Harvey, a perfect monster with no end.
That's really touching.
Yeah, I thought you'd like it.
Means a lot to me and to you and nobody else, and that's what I like.
Maybe we'll put the podcast episode so if anyone wants to look up the reference, they can find. Who am I kidding? I'm not paying the Libsyn fees after you're dead. Listeners, I hope you're downloading this. Download this so that you can someday upload it once Garrett is dead, because I do not know how.
Yeah, that is wild.
And I won't learn.
One more question. Are these gator men hunting like gators or like men? Meaning, are they sneaking in the bushes and then popping up and emerging, or are they hunting you down and running and killing you like a man would?
I don't know, but I do know that once they get you, they're going to pull you into water, do the roll, and tuck you under a log for later.
Ooh. God, do you think in the absence of water, they would just still grab you and gator roll on concrete? Ooh, that might be worse.
It wouldn't be worse. I don't know if you've ever almost drowned.
Yeah, but I think I would rather drown in a gator roll than just be slapped against concrete in the parking lot of a Walmart.
All right. A perfect monster with no end until, a gator met him in a parking lot in a Walmart.
That's going to bring us to track number 5, Mind. Alrighty, Timbo. Mind.
Yeah, so at this point, this is track number 13 for me. I was pretty checked out every time this song rolled around.
That's okay. My very first note is I'm struggling to fully understand what this is about. It does have a bit of a George Harrison feel to it. Got my mind set on you. That kind of jaunty deal.
Yeah, it's very bouncy. Mm-hmm. There's more devils and demons and goblins and gremlins than in most George Harrison music.
Oh, considerably more. Let's get into it quickly because there's not much. Pencils bouncing twice up and down. Haunted howling gremlins howling to the sound. The door opens, but nothing physical opens wide. And you know it isn't Christ. I, the devil child's mind, flash the dagger like teeth in wine. Cool.
I, me, mine. No, sorry.
Not yet.
Different one.
Some sort of metaphor for the goblins in his mind and giving into dark thoughts.
Absolutely. The mind goblins, Garrett.
Great. And the chorus as Tim began to sing, mind, 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 mind.
Now, I noticed the first time you read that, you tended into almost a little bit of a German accent. It's hard not to do.
That not only is it just instinct, but also I believe that's what he meant the middle mind to be. I think that he's saying he minds his mind, or mind. And I would say that's a stretch, except I learned this week that Roky Erickson likes to use German subtle wordplay to increase the humor in his songs.
Right, yep. Bleibe allein.
So, yeah.
Faster than just meeting with more goblins, demons, and gremlins, never only decide a death to life seance with ghostly powers all the time. What is it that makes it so alike? I ask you, the devil's infinity children? Okay, this is just nonsense, right?
Yeah, we'll just say this is pretty inscrutable and go ahead and move on to track number 6. We tried. Can't all be winners. I think he's being recruited into some sort of afterlife gang, but it's tough to say. Track number 6, Sputnik.
So I assume an alien or some sort of space god is controlling his crazy brain via defunct Russian satellites.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. There's definitely a alien or deity-like creature threatening to end him or humanity.
Right.
I agree there. Here's some fun facts I didn't know. Maybe you knew this. So obviously we all know Sputnik, Russian satellite. But what I didn't know is that Sputnik is literally the Russian word for satellite. And the way they came up with the word is using the prefix of S that means fellow and Putnik, which means traveler. Hence, fellow traveler or satellite.
Interesting.
Isn't that fun?
That's fun to know.
Yeah, it's much better than when we're just listing people with hepatitis. That's not a fun fact.
When it comes to fattening, there's no need for an end. And when it comes to hurting my creation, I don't need a space bend. And then we get what's the chorus. Now, I read so many different versions of this.
Versions or interpretations?
No, versions of it. Is it spare me your theory on alien and creator?
That's not what I got.
Spelling your theory, alien I creator.
That's what I got.
Spelling your theory, but that doesn't, I've also heard Sputnik your theory. I don't know.
None of them make a ton of sense, and all of it is nonsense.
Right. The only one that really to me makes sense is spare me your theory on alien and creator, right? He's uninterested in hearing about other people's beliefs in God or aliens or whatever, because religious and other views of God and the beginning of time, etc., they're just as ridiculous as those weird voices that are in his head, right? Like,
interesting.
Maybe he's interpreting this whole thing like alien creator. Yeah, that's what I got too. And you probably shouldn't listen to that. Like, don't make a religion out of the crazy bullshit that's in your head. Christianity or, ones.
See, to me, spare me your theory, alien I creator makes the most sense because he goes on to say, everything started by me. It could end to begin. It could explode into the cosmos to begin from nothing on a clear night as I started in before infinity's infinite. So he's kind of saying, like, I could end all this tomorrow if I wanted to. You're living at the mercy of my own creation.
He really, at this point, he's very close to being that guy at the bus stop. Like, both in terms of like the narrative of his life and also the lyrics of this song.
Lyrics of this song, events of his life, delivery of the lyrics of this song without music at a bus stop, pretty terrifying.
Yeah. Now, that being said, I really enjoyed listening to it.
Absolutely. I really like the chorus that I can't fucking decipher.
Right.
Song continues more about being the creator, and quite frankly, there's really not a lot of meat on this bone, and we got a lot of tracks to go, people. So let's keep this train a-rolling. Track number 7. There's no way it's about what I think it's about, but I don't know what else it would be. Track number 7, White Faces.
White faces, always haunt me so.
This is why I think it's possible that he's got some sort of Slender Man situation going on.
Slenderman.
Slenderman. You know Slenderman.
Sure. Jerry Slenderman?
Yes.
2 houses over? Yeah.
Listener, feel free to Google Slenderman, but do not spend too much time on that, or he might tell you to kill your friends.
Yeah, and no one will have any sympathy for you.
Absolutely not. Friends with the beast because of sharp teeth, the devil so red, the fiery evil, blibe.
So, or the fiery evil remains, because what else could that mean? But anyway, sounds to me like he's saying, I'm friends with the beast because I'm scared if I'm not, I'll be eaten by those sharp teeth. Or at least
exactly the same reason you're friends with Slender Man. And
sure.
do as he says.
Listen, why would he tell you to lure your middle school friend out to the woods and stab her repeatedly and leave her there? That's what you do.
Right. Human jail is far less terrifying than the vengeance and the anger of Slender Man. That's.
Does he take you to like some sort of dreamland or
I don't know, Garrett.
City?
I'm not going to find out. I'm going to follow him. I'm going to do the thing, Garrett, to you.
Don't do that. Leave those people alone. Anyway, song continues curiously. White faces, always haunt me so beautifully. Burning temples, meditating churches, always bring out the white of the devil in me. Was he raised the son of a clansman?
Maybe.
Sounds a little like he's saying when he gets around a bunch of white people, he starts to thinking about burning churches.
Maybe he's saying he doesn't like that about his fellow white folks.
Okay. It's more of a commentary on a peoples rather than identifying with the traits of those peoples. I'd prefer it.
Yeah, we all would.
But it does sound like in the first verse he was going along to get along.
Well, yeah, as you would.
Probably. Song continues, and this is why I think I'm completely right. Colorful crucifixion, riding with the serpent dragon, fire breathing with his serpent tongue as a wagon.
Now, here's the problem. Colorful crucifixion, riding with the serpent dragon, fire breathing, serpent tongue, this is all, it has some gravitas to it. And then he says a wagon.
Yeah, and he does rob himself of any gravitas at the end there.
Yeah.
Now, I will also say, we're talking about a colorful crucifixion, perhaps a flaming cross, riding with the serpent dragon. What's the head of the KKK? Some sort of grand dragon, I believe. Fire breathing, setting fire to those poor churches. I'm pretty sure he was raised the son of racists.
Maybe. I mean, he was at least raised the son of a man who had cut his son's hair forcefully.
Who really knew his Bible, but like really knew it.
Yeah, even the weird parts. And he wasn't embarrassed by the weird parts.
Seemed to emphasize them.
Gross.
Parts even the priests were like, I don't think that's in there. It's in the back.
It's all in there. Back. It's a long book, and there's a lot of horrific bullshit in there.
There's dragons, for God's sake.
Well, dinosaurs.
No, there's dragons, not dinosaurs. There's no dinosaurs. Noticeably no dinosaurs, they're dragons. Smaug is in that book.
Delightful.
Then we get the chorus. You're just going to start talking about Benjamin Cumberbatch, so shut up. Chorus 2 more times, and that brings us to track number 8. I Think of Demons.
Again, another solid rock song. This is track number 2 for me. It has a very late 70s sound. There's maybe a little Big Star in here.
Yeah, I got a little bit of like Jesse's Girl.
Yeah, okay. So this seems like a cult who worships demons or something, right?
Dude, we'll see. I
think of demons, they never kill. I think of demons, they never will. They don't need to. They'll scare you, it's true. I think of demons for you. So I think what he's saying here is the demons are his brain demons, right? So they can't actually affect the outside world, right? They can only make him do stuff. They can't actually like kill anything. They can't actually like affect the world. They have to convince him. They have to scare him. They have to trick him into doing their bidding.
Yes, and at least in other songs, well, I don't know, man. I completely agree. That's a valid interpretation. That is in my notes as well. But then I feel like we get all confused when we start singing about Lucifer.
Well, okay. The Lucifer part. So Lucifer, who's been waiting on you? Lucifer, who's been waiting on you? Demon eyes and demon dew, wait until you come through to be our leader. We've been waiting on you for you. Now, we long ago stopped going through the lunatic and usually pretty dumb genius lyric annotations. That was more of an early feature of the show, but occasionally they warrant a mention.
Oh boy.
To the Lucifer who's been waiting on you, demon eyes, wait until you come through to be our leader. We've been waiting on you for you. Somebody wrote, we are waiting. The outcasts and the forgotten know who will lead us into the new age. And just left that there for me to find. Jesus Christ.
I hope you thumbs up it.
I did. I always do.
Oh, no.
I want to encourage them, Garrett, because occasionally somebody writes something like that.
Yeah, that's pretty funny. It sounds like okay, we can definitely agree on one thing. He wants to serve Lucifer.
Right.
Right? Because he says,
think so.
To be our leader, we've been waiting on you for you.
Right.
Yeah, it sounds like he's like a demon in training. Like he's got the demons in his mind. They're telling him how to practice. He's getting ready. And when Lucifer arrives, which I guess demons serve Lucifer, that sounds right.
Yeah.
He's ready to like take his demon test and graduate and go to hell.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah. I like that.
Yeah. And that brings us to track number 9, the curiously titled Creature with the Atom Brain.
Presumably about a 1955 zombie B-movie people are controlled by radio signals, and also somehow it's a gangster picture?
Yes. This is the one that sounded to me most like late 80s Neil Young Freedom era.
Yeah, I get that.
Creature with the atom brain.
Yeah.
You could turn that into a Neil Young sound pretty easy. We won't. So I read this about this song. Roky had 3 phases of life. The Christian phase, the demon phase, and the alien phase. This is about the 3rd phase. What?
All right.
Dude was just straight up in and out of mental institutions for like 20 years.
Yeah, so crazy.
And this is what you get.
Creature with the atom brain, creature with the atom brain. Why is he acting so strange? Do you think he's one of them? I think this is his paranoia, right? He's hearing voices. He's wondering if other people are hearing voices. You know, do you think he's one of them? Maybe in his mind there are 2 different factions of voices, some sort of demons and angels situation, right? So he's got his voices are on one team. I don't know which one it is. It seems like it might be the demons, but yeah, it could be either way. But you know, he's going around being like, okay, clearly
just trying to spot him.
Yeah, exactly. So you know, obviously you've got some normies. We can call them NPCs, as you call them on the internet. And you know, so some people don't have either. Some people have one. Some people have the other. But you got to figure out which one is which.
Yeah, it's a real they live situation.
Sure, except, more realistic.
Or less so, given that it's all based on psychotic hallucinations.
Fair enough. Threw the doll right down, ripped its guts off, and threw it on the ground. Creature with the atom brain, creature with the atom brain. I don't know what that means at all.
Great. I didn't even write it down.
Fair enough.
That's when we get to the good part. So they took the script from this movie that it's based on. What was it called again? Creature with the atom brain? And they do a reading of it, and it's great. I'm going to do it if you don't mind.
Absolutely.
I told you I'd come back. Remember Buchanan? But you're not Buchanan. I don't look like him, but I am him. Don't you recognize the voice, Jim? I promised to see you die, and I will. Hey, boss, let us in. Boss man, let us in that door. Get in the automobile. Get in the automobile. Get in the automobile.
Right. And there's like shattering glass and some bullet sounds in this as well. I love though that it's not a sample. It's not from the movie. They couldn't presumably get the rights to that, but they could get the rights to the script, I guess.
They just do a reading. It's awesome. And then there's
this is what Rob Zombie wishes he was.
Yeah, because this is fun.
And it's real, right? Like so Rob Zombie does this big thing of like, oh, look at how crazy I am. This guy's fucking nuts.
Yeah, this guy's truly got like deep emotional problems and psychosis.
Yeah, but
like,
also goofy things.
Yeah, it's produced like really great art. Doesn't feel forced. Then he says, and I have no idea what this means. No one stitches like that. No one stitches like that. Creature with the atom brain. Do you have any idea what stitching is?
Okay, I do not. But then there's another voiceover.
Yeah, you want it or you want me to take it?
Oh, please.
Today's big story centers around the killing of District Attorney McGraw, whose body was found in his garage, murdered. Dr. Walker is under the impression that these crimes were being perpetrated by dead men charged with atom rays, which gives them superhuman strength and makes them impervious to bullets. Well, if you want to believe that story, you can. What? What does this have to do with this song? What is this song about? Is it just about the movie Creature with the Atom Brain?
It's possible that these songs are all just about B-movies.
And like they are self-reflective, but very surface. Like somebody one day was like, kind of like you, Roky. And he was like, yeah, kind of like me. I'm going to write a song about this.
I like the idea that somebody after the the fact was like, oh, hey, I get it. Like, it's a metaphor about you. And he's like, oh, yeah.
No, not when they heard his own song. Hey, do you think you were writing about yourself? Oh, maybe, man. No.
Well, Jesus Christ, then this is really dark.
Wow, no wonder people think I'm so deep. No, what I mean is like they're sitting there literally watching the movie on home video or whatever you did in the 70s. And somebody's just like, I could call you the creature with the atom brain. And he's like, yeah, I write a song about this great movie. But like it never went beyond that. Just like that was enough for him. Like, yeah, kind of. All right, let's see here. We get the chorus again, and that brings us, of course, to track number 10. My God, we still have a ways to go. The Wind and More. Not a huge standout on the album for me.
No. This to me, it feels like, I assume the and more are the voices and the ghosts and the demons.
Right. Yeah, we got a real Ghostbusters 2 situation. Song begins. Ghosts rising from anywhere they please. Demons leaving ghostly spirits and everything is in sin or reincarnate into a world that is more than allows it before. Objects moving without the wind blowing from the newspaper to the door. Some sort of like ghosts and goblins rising up out of everywhere.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. It's global haunting.
Yeah, it's times like these, Lucifer, I see are infinite. For our commanded wind and more, the wind and more, the wind and more, the wind and more, the wind and more. Who's a better lifter than the wind and more?
This chorus deserves just a brief moment because every time he sang it, I couldn't not at least smile, if not audibly laugh, because it's all very dramatic and we're talking about ghouls and goblins and Lucifer. I see our infinite with our commanded wind and more. And then, just out of nowhere, he goes, the wind and more, the wind and more, the wind and more, the wind and more. Who's a better lifter than the wind and more? And he's just like, wait, what just happened?
The initial part of it, it almost sounded like, who's a little boy who loves berries and cream? Berries and cream.
Very
berries
much.
And cream. Who's a little boy who loves berries and cream? I'm a little boy, excuse me. I do like that he is possessed specifically by goblins.
Yeah. Goblins do not get nearly enough credit in modern society.
Right. Because most people don't even know that they can possess you.
Sure. Demons all day. Poltergeist, absolutely. And I'll tell you right now, Poltergeist, not nearly as interesting as the movies would have you believe. Here's the thing about goblins. They're one of the few that physically get in you.
Oh, absolutely.
They crawl right down your throat and inhabit you and treat you like a fucking puppet.
Yeah, it's like
you
that.
Feel it.
A horrifying Bret Easton Ellis book, Lunar Park. You remember with the Furby?
Yeah, did that thing crawl down someone's throat and live in them?
I think it crawled in the buttocks, but
into a parrot?
I think it was I don't know. I think it maybe the point is it got inside of a guy and controlled him.
God, I've read that book twice. I should definitely remember this.
That book, so very similar actually to this. I did that as an audiobook, and for whatever reason, it was 1 through 11, disc 1, disc 2, whatever, all the way through 11. And the way that I had it went disc 1, disc 10, disc 11, disc 2. And for the first time I listened to it, I did not figure that out. And I was like, this is a really unconventional way of doing this book. No, I was listening to it out of order. The fuck is wrong with me?
I can't throw any stones. I read 2 books that were mixed together. One was the like Romani Bandit or whatever, the Bulgarian.
Yeah, that one's great. The one about the dude in Austria-Hungary, like right after the fall of the Berlin Wall or something.
Something like that. But that was mixed with something else that was ludicrous and like very not real. And I was like, wait, what just happened? After he stole the loaf of bread, a robot emerged and ate him. So, wait, what? Goddamn audio tracks. Okay, anyway, back to audio stuff that is the show. We got the ghosts, they're everywhere, the wind and more, the wind and more. Goblins and I, their unquestioned host. See, they'll inhabit the shit out of you. Everything is moving or movable into like, and then ghosts. How unstolen, how resting, how free, how long, in order with Beelzebub sitting on his throne. I think he is the gatekeeper. He is waiting for his keymaster, and the goblins will inhabit him as he begins to worship during Zul's rule.
Yeah.
Nice.
The demons they seem pretty mischievous, though, which it raises the question again, because are they real demons as opposed to just hallucinations? You, as a clinical psychiatrist, are hallucinations supposed to try to scare you?
Not always. Sometimes they're your brain's best effort to, hey, talking about real life. Fine. Sometimes it's your brain's best effort to keep you alive.
Oh, absolutely. But it never occurred to me that they might be like playing tricks on you, because all the more to tempt you with...
Here's the thing. If you're having visual hallucinations, and I doubt you are, but if you are, and it's the nicest thing on the planet, let's just picture a 2-foot-tall pink elephant that has the curiously same speech patterns as Will Arnett. Right?
Mm-hmm.
That's a great thing in concept. But in reality, if you're lying in bed and that elephant is sitting upon your chest doing like nonstop commentary on life, you're going to be so scared.
Yeah, I don't really want that at all, huh?
Yeah, you don't want it at all. All right, that's going to bring us to track number 11, Don't Shake Me, Lucifer.
This one has more of a 50s rocker feel to it,
so it took me all week, Tim, and it's not perfect, but may I? So first of all, this sounds like a Rolling Stones cover to me.
I thought it sounded like a Beatles cover of like Long Tall Sally or something like that.
Well, here's why I finally landed on the Rolling Stones after exhaustive searching with no help from the interns.
Well, in their defense, a lot of them are deposed currently.
Good. Anyway, so the line in this song is, don't shake me, Lucifer. And I heard this over and over again. And I was like, what is that? What is that? What is that? And the closest I ever got to is, I know it's only rock and roll, but I like it.
Yeah, it does have that cadence. Yeah.
Damn close. It's about 2 syllables off, probably. But that's why I kept going like, this feels really Rolling Stonesy to me, but not like the good ones.
Right. Yeah. But
I don't shake. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Not like the best Rolling Stones, sure, but I still do like this song.
Oh, yeah. I still like this song. I'm not going negative on Roky Erickson. Again, the album, too long. There's a couple I'd trim, but I like this song. He says, don't shake me, Lucifer. Don't shake me, Lucifer. I've been up all night and no suicide clock the works. I love what I think this is about. What do you think this is about?
So I think he has a unique dilemma, right? Because usually he's got hallucinations.
Sure.
They're tormenting him, and he might think of killing himself to rid himself of these. But he is believing that maybe those hallucinations are demons or even Lucifer himself. So if he kills himself, according to what our Catholic God commands, he will go to hell and he will not be free of them. So if he kills himself, he's not going to get less voices in his head. It's going to increase.
I'm very, very close to you on this one.
Well, that's weird.
Let me tell you what I think's happened. I think that through all this, he has become obsessed with the occult, whether it's a real chicken or the egg, whether the hallucinations drove him towards it or if he always had an interest in it and it drove the hallucinations. I don't know. But I think in the result of all this is he's conjured up Satan.
Okay.
The Beelzebub, Lucifer, Worrells himself.
We're going to have to bleep that middle initial.
That's a reference to Ernest Worrell. Anyway.
Gonna have to bleep that middle initial.
Fantastic. I think he's conjured Satan. They, at first, like every new friendship, they're going hot and heavy, great friends, getting burgers together, riding bikes, having a grand time. And then the old Beelzebub starts to get a little clingy, Tim. And he's like, hey man, no, we're still good friends and stuff, but like, I gotta get some sleep. Like, we're not all the Dark Lord. I have a fucking math test tomorrow. And so he's saying, don't shake me, Lucifer. Don't shake me. I've been up all night and no suicide clock that works. He can't get away from him. If he kills himself, he's going to hell anyway, as you pointed out, by your Christian God. So we're pretty much on the same page here. The only difference being is that he's in a bind of his own making. He wanted to be the demon servant of the Dark Lord, and then he finally got him on the horn, and he's like, dude, do you have like anywhere else to be? Nothing worse than a guest that won't leave.
Right.
Song continues. Seem to be no calm privacy. Says that again. Lucifer cries. cried. Don't shake me, Lucifer. You are all I receive. Which I think is the grossest way possible of ever saying, yeah, bro, we're best friends. I have other friends, but we're best friends, okay? Just relax. Stop crying. You shouldn't say you are all I receive. Just say BFF.
Well, yeah.
If you told me that I was all you received, never mind. Why would I even do that? Why would I even start that conversation?
We could say BFFs.
We don't need to say anything.
What if we did like a BFF chest bump?
No, because you always try to do a downstairs chest bump at the same time.
Well, it's a roll, right? We first you roll
up,
the
top, down, low.
Yeah, but like also in the middle, in the middle.
That's just two men doing the worm against each other, and I'm not into it. They're shaking him down left. They're frisking him up right. They're shaking him down left and frisking him up right. Lucifer cried, don't shake me, Lucifer, with the devil's hell's fire. I think now, Tim, Lucifer feeling like Rocky's not giving him nearly the attention he deserves, has gone and enrolled in school as Bill Z. Bub and has now found himself with a bunch of new friends, but he's doing it by being a bully to Rocky.
Oh, I like it.
Because, obviously Rocky doesn't have a lot of friends. He's mildly psychotic. Nobody likes that kid. So he conjures up Satan. Then Satan's like, hey, you're not giving me enough time. I'll enroll in school with you. Oh, hey, Rocky, I'm Bill Z. Bub here. And then he realizes that the cool kids make fun of Rocky and he wants to be a cool kid so he can get way more friends and make Rocky jealous.
Yeah. I mean, if you were a demon and you were trying to torment somebody and that person started ignoring you, you could just transport yourself into a bigger boy, influence that boy to, bully your initial.
Hey, don't worry, bud. It's just me. It's Lucifer. I'll get in with the cool kids first, and then when they like me, then I can bring you over.
I like that.
I think you're just kicking my ass, though, Lou.
Well, I like
Dude,
that.
I want to write this pilot.
Yeah. I like that it's not that. It's an honest attempt. Lucifer realizes that he has infected a nerd and tries to ingratiate that nerd into the cool kids. But,
I see.
He's really resistant because he doesn't want to smoke those cigarettes like we all know you have to do to get in with the cool kids, or at least did.
You did. I think we were teetering dangerously close to 21 Jump Street.
With the devil, though.
That's true. Either way, we're going to have Grieco.
Well, yeah, but that's just because he's always hanging around. Him and Gino seem to be buddy-buddy.
Oof. Anyway. Track number 12, Bloody Hammer.
What an upsetting name for a song. I'm gonna assume the hammer is a metaphor for like psychiatric treatment, electroconvulsive
I think
therapy.
hammer is code for like a psychiatric break.
Oh, I was gonna say it's like a lobotomy that he's trying to reject or resist.
Interesting. That makes a lot of sense. Let's go through it. Demon is up in the attic to the left. My eyes turn to the left and say no. You said first, I am the special one. I never hammered my mind out. I never have the bloody hammer. I never have the bloody hammer. I never have the bloody hammer. I never have the bloody. I never have the bloody. I never have the bloody hammer.
Right. So the demon is in his attic, aka the hallucinations are in his brain. We all know that one. But he's
the bad thoughts.
Yeah, and he's refusing to let them destroy his brain in an attempt to get rid of all that crazy, right? Like if you do your psychiatric treatment, the problem is it's a hammer, it's not a scalpel. You're not going to get the demon, you're just going to squish his brain.
That's a better reading. I'm going to go with your reading and adapt my notes to yours. Yours is great. Allow me to read this like an evil doctor. I am the doctor. I am the psychiatrist.
Carry on.
To make sure they don't think that they'd hammered their minds out, or that they'd have a bloody hammer. I'm not doing it that many times. Or that they'd have a bloody hammer. So it's interesting because he says to make sure they don't think they'd hammer their minds out. That's what made me think hammer their minds out was like a psychiatric break, as opposed to using it, the hammer, as a cure.
I think he's the doctor, he's the psychiatrist. So from Rocky's point of view, the psychiatrist is like a salesman. He's trying to like convince him that their treatment isn't bad.
They're not straightened out.
Yeah, he's trying to convince him that it's not a hammer, but he knows better.
Oh yeah, it's a hammer.
Right. And because others in the mental institution that he's around let it happen, right? He says, second, I am the special one, my eyes, green and blue, and safely unbegotten, to the left to say no, while the others with their hair turned white just roll their eyes back to the top of their head and hammer the attic floor with a bloody hammer. So The others are just allowing this to happen, but he's not going to do it.
Right? This is a great reading. I love this. And then this is my favorite part because I don't know what's going on here, but I think it's a name check. It's not a sledgehammer. It's not a chisel. It's not a train, but a thought of unlimited horror for Dr. O'Chain. Dr. O'Chain.
And there's also a Dr. O'Tray later on in this.
So are these real people?
I don't know. It's suspicious. Like, I think maybe there's a Dr. Chain and a Dr. Tray, and he was just like, oh, if I put like an O there, it's like, oh, like I can get away with it.
Legally distinct.
Right. We get more bats and Draculas and vampires.
I love this line.
The ghost says, beat it with your chains. The ghost says, drag your chain away, Dr. O'Tray. All bats are is Dracula vampires. Vampires in rain. Vampires in lightning for Dr. O'Chain. Dr. O'Chain.
To me, that all he's saying there is maybe you should get a little ECT. See how you like those vampire lightning bats.
Absolutely. The baby ghost in the 1900s says, beat it with your chain. The baby ghost says, don't drag your spoon. Drag your chain away, Dr. O'Chain. To me, the latter half of this song, it feels like a Neutral Milk Hotel song, but run through just batshit insane.
I gotta tell you, I'm picturing a very soiled woman in a bloody dress with a porcelain clown mask on, referring to herself as Baby Ghost.
Oh, I like that quite a bit.
I don't. It haunts me. I'm Baby Ghost.
That's worse.
She's played by what's-her-face, Jennifer Coolidge. I'm Baby Ghost.
One day she will be Baby Ghost.
That's true. You know what would be just amazing? If we ripped their faces off. All right, let's keep moving, Tim. Just a few to go, and I really want to be done. Track number 13, Stand for the Fire Demon. This song is too long.
Yes, it absolutely is. And I have no idea what this is about.
I think this is a guy standing in a fucking Ralph's parking lot trying to recruit people to Satanism. He just says over and over, stand for the fire demon, rising into and with the clouds. Stand for the fire demon, Satan's in his crowd. Stand for the fire demon, stand and I feel it loud. And then he makes what I think are probably vague biblical references that I'm not even going to waste people's time with. But then he goes right back into it in the last chorus, which is spoken word that devolves into a Jim Morrison-esque rant, where he says, stand for the fire demon, Satan's are we, Satan's am I, stand for the fire demon, spirits say boo, and the paper bursts into fire. That's not scary. Maybe we need to do more of a Hannibal Lecter thing. Stand for the fire demon. Satan's are we, Satan's am I, stand for the fire demon, spirits say boo, and the paper bursts into fire. Stand for the fire demon, wilder, wilder, wilder still. Stand for the fire demon. No, I still don't really. I don't know. I think he's stoked for Satan, and he thinks he's getting everybody else real excited about it, but mostly people are slowly backing away and calling the police.
Fair enough.
Track 14, Click Your Fingers.
So this to me is maybe about how like people pretend to be nice and maintain civility and just really keeping that mask over that horrible shit pile. We're snapping our fingers like applauding to be extra polite, but just under the surface the bloodlust is there.
Well, I don't know about bloodlust, but it's definitely go along to get along.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, I think.
Click your fingers applauding the play. Such clear, clear nights and clear days, 'cause lightning never flashes our way if you click your fingers applauding the play. Yeah, nothing bad ever happens to the people that go along with the atrocities of humanity.
Yeah, that's fair.
For the most part, except for those trials. And from the horizon, the wrath's boot not down. Clear skies, sometimes the clouds so inviting. Such a friendly sound. I think sometimes the wrath of the storm is quite inviting, even when you're living in a clear skies environment. When you see that there's no justice in that world.
Yeah, okay. Do not care anymore.
It's more like that, so let's go ahead and move on to track number 15. Honestly, I'll be very curious to see what you think of this. Track number 15, If You Have Ghosts.
Honestly, based on the title, I was really hoping this was going to be a friendly how-to guide to get rid of ghosts. kind of sad it wasn't.
Here's a fun game. If you're familiar at all with Jay-Z's 99 Problems, you can easily put in the word ghosts, and it's very fun to sing.
Interesting.
If you're having ghost problems, I feel bad for you, son. I don't know why. Like, the moment I saw if you have ghosts, I was like, if you have a ghost problems, I feel bad for you, son. And then I was like, oh no, what have I done? I've been singing 99 Problems, but with ghosts for an entire week. Anyway, sorry. What were you saying that wasn't stupid?
So I like to think that he has the power of ghosts, you see.
Oh.
So, right, he says, if you have ghosts, then you have everything. If you have ghosts, then you have everything. You can say anything you want. You can do anything you want. If you have ghosts, then you have everything. So what I think he's saying is, listen, it sucks that they're just hallucinations, because if they were real ghosts, that would be awesome, right? If anyone questions him, he can just conjure up ghosts to take care of the problem, right? So picture this. Somebody comes over, hey man, you can't sleep on that park bench, to which he just exhales a multitude of ghosts at the popo, as Garrett calls them, and they go all Raiders of the Lost Ark on them, just melting faces and horror and whatnot. Right? That's his immediate response to any coming up against any obstacle, is just vomiting ghost powers upon somebody.
What if it just sounded like a very generic vomit sound? Just.
I mean, I think that works. If you do that and then faces begin to melt, I think that works quite a bit.
Oh yeah, well, I was pretty close to you here. I pictured like a 1930s gangster with like two like floating ghosts on either side, and just like, you can't tell me what to do. See, my pal Casper here says otherwise.
I like the phrase "floating ghosts."
Ghost floating?
Yeah.
That's how I picture them. Why wouldn't you? Right? Who needs feet? You're a ghost.
Let's move on then. I don't want my fangs too long. And I like the idea of a werewolf being self-conscious, right? It's not so much that I'm a wolf. It's just like, I don't want these giant gaudy fangs. I want something more subtle.
My snout is way too small for these fangs.
Exactly. Right.
Bro, your fangs look great. No, dude, look, I got a stubby fucking nose. I got these fangs that go way past my bottom jaw. Like, that's all anybody's looking at. I got this super ripped werewolf chest. I'm literally disemboweling an entire school bus of children, and I feel like everybody's just looking at these fangs. You're crazy. Dude, people are shitting their pants. You're eating them. Yeah, but whole time I'm thinking fangs. We all have problems, Tim. Becoming a werewolf will not solve them.
Well, no, but I mean, it'll solve some of them.
Sure, it'll solve your bullying issues.
Right.
Unless you are a bully, in which case they're going to get far worse.
Yeah, but, only for a short period of time.
Tim, how'd this album do?
Well, Garrett, no idea. Probably poorly.
Fantastic.
It is considered a cult classic now. Retrospectively, it's well regarded by critics. Kerrang! Described this as an important record to horror metal and psychobilly, and said, Night of the Vampire is, and I'm quoting here, easily the greatest vampire song in history. Roky paints on the vampire as he lives in the cultural subconscious, a being of film, literature, and ancient myth all at once.
That feels grandiose.
Yes.
I like the song about zombies.
Yeah, fair enough.
I walked with a zombie. Okay, that's how it did, or rather didn't, we don't know. What did people think of it?
Well, there are 134 total ratings on Amazon, 95% 5-star, 5% 4-star, 0% 1-star, because that's how math works. I have 3 reviews here. The first one is by Vladimir Jeremik from United States 2013. In how many occasions can you really sing I Walk with a Zombie? You can sing it, in fact, in many different situations. Such are your friend's wedding, hope not your own, funerals, daytime job, family gatherings, anniversaries of many kinds, and so on, and so on. You
Nighttime job.
I don't care if motifs come from watching B-horror movies. These songs are well and alive, and they belong now to everybody. Thank God they are recorded and released. 5 out of 5 stars.
That guy's great.
Yeah.
God, he loves it so much. I don't like anything that much.
Yeah. Weird voice, though. Commandeer Schmuck, 2017. All has been said, a true masterpiece by one of music's truly unique and outstanding artists, without whom a complete genre might not have been invented, or much, much worse. Bless his tortured soul. Brilliant. 5 out of 5 stars. Now, that one I enjoy mostly just because I imagine him in a cafe cafe or a diner in Austin and a sweet southern waitress coming up to him and like talking to him, getting his order and whatever. And at the end, as he's leaving, bless your sweet tortured soul, hun.
Oh, bless your sweet tortured soul.
Accurate.
You're just as crazy as the day is long. Aren't you just the Dickens?
Oh, one more here. This is by Patrice Coxis from 2014. This album was a must-have as far as my son-in-law was concerned. Again, he had asked for it for Christmas. He again was happy with this gift. He loves his music and was excited to receive it as a gift. Thank you. 5 out of 5 stars. Now, Garrett, imagine your in-laws. I don't really do gifts with mine, but if they asked me what I wanted for Christmas, and I told them Roky Erickson's probably very difficult to find, The Evil One from 1987. Like,
Original pressing. None of that digital bullshit. Original.
You want what now?
I'm not gonna do that.
This is why we don't do gifts.
We were gonna get you like a bath mat.
Roky Erickson's, the 15-song version, The Evil One.
Yeah, it's gonna be hard to get. You should start looking. Do you have a Discogs account? You're gonna need one.
That's a great website. Nah.
Yeah, it's become kind of fucked up, but
has it?
Still pretty good. Tim, who's this for?
Sons-in-law everywhere.
The holiday season's just around the corner, and you might be wondering, what do I get? Not my son, not my daughter, but that member of my family that I'm obligated to be kind to, but ultimately wouldn't save in a fire. My son-in-law. Well, might I recommend Roky Erickson's The Evil One? A confusing message to send someone you're not legally related to, but are obligated again to treat as your own progeny. Will they take it as a compliment, an insult, or most importantly, a veiled threat to turn them into a zombie? All of these things and more can be yours this holiday season with the re-release Roky Erickson, The Evil One, the Son-in-Law Edition.
Delightful.
Tim, do you hate this?
No, Garrett. I mostly like this. Still, it's this honestly maybe a first for the show. I might buy this album.
Well, that's a first.
Yeah.
That's really, I won't have to, of course, because it's already on my music streaming of choice.
Oh no, I mean the vinyl.
Oh.
I might slip this into our music collection, right there.
You know what you ought to do?
Between yours and mine, just right in the middle.
God, we're getting separate record cabinets. You know what you ought to do, though, is you ought to ask your in-laws.
No.
It's a callback. Okay.
Garrett, do you hate this album?
Oh my, no. And you already answered the other question I was going to ask. Will you listen to these songs again?
Yeah, probably will.
Yeah, I will listen to, conservatively, 8 of them.
I think what I will do is play the first half of this, the side A of this record, and then instead of immediately flipping it over, maybe take a break. Listen to side B later, you see.
I should have done this before we recorded, because I had weeks to do it, but I didn't. I'm curious what of this is on that Roky Erickson album I have, if any. Because I think I thought it was a greatest hits, and instead it's like a new thing. Anyway, all right, that's going to do it for this week, folks. As always, rate, review, subscribe, follow, tell your friends, tell your relatives, send it out in a newsletter.
Tell your in-laws.
Tell your in-laws. Tell them for Christmas, all I want is for you to subscribe to this podcast and to write emails to them about the things that you like about it.
Take your in-laws' credit card and get a Patreon subscription to our thing. Do we have that yet?
We do not.
Oh.
So somebody set it up and do it and run it and give us the money and file all the taxes. That's mostly why we haven't done it, because I just don't want to do the taxes.
Well, let's just not do that part.
No, we definitely have to do that part, unless nobody gives us money, in which case all you have to do is say we made no money.
Well, let's just say
I guess
that.
I could pay you an exorbitant salary, so whatever we take in just goes directly to you.
Okay.
I'm not going to do that. I just wanted you to know that I could. Okay, I think that's going to do it. We got all the socials, right? We got Instagram, that's HatePod. We got Twitter, that's Album HatePod, although truthfully, that service is truly dying. It's kind of funny to watch. Fuck that guy and his stupid face. Anyway, we got Discord servers, we got subreddits. I mean, if you're on the internet, on all the various platforms in which you would do internet type things, we have a presence. Of course, not on TikTok, because we're middle-aged men, for God's sake. Anyway, I think that's going to do it for us for this week. I have been one of your hosts, Garrett Harvey.
I have been the other, Timothy P. Richardson, and Garrett P. Harvey inexplicably calls bare feet nude feet, and it makes me so uncomfortable.
They are. They're not wearing anything. They're completely
I understand.
nude.
Oh, okay.
You can see every aspect of it, top and bottom. You know what I really hate to see is between the toes, right? Just like small cul-de-sacs of flesh.
There's cowboys running through my dreams. nothing's quite the way it seems. I joined the Navy, got kicked out in a week. My facial features aren't distinct. Try to find some meaning in these songs. The genius is a genius, got it wrong. No, it's a lobster murder sex thing. It's the bleaching of the rear. A full assault on both your ears. The riffs are too repetitive. The lyrics make no sense. All the songs are B-sides. The cover art's a mess. Listen to it for a week. Now that week has passed. It's the Why I Hate This Album podcast with Tim and Garrett.